Saw is the very first movie I'm ever seeing in this crusty crab of a franchise, and I feel like I've missed out on a huge fan base that fills the empty void of my pet goldfish running away from me, and also show me so many movies that have more excitement and thrill than seeing someone bite a scorpion. Because this movie was an absolute blast to watch. But if you don't know what this film is about, it's about this rusty goober named John Kramer who travels to Mexico to get some treatment for some cancer that he's been building up. However, the doctors that treated him are apparently con artist Dylan Dana scammers and made Kramer pay tens of thousands of dollars just for these donkeys to flick lice out of his hair. So now, as revenge, he's setting up traps for everyone involved and making sure that they learn to not do something like this again. Now, when I found out what the premise was of this whole franchise, that alone is what made me want to watch this movie. And the premise is that you should appreciate the life that you have and not do bad things like scam RuneScape players or steal Kinder Surprises. But if that's the board game you want to play, then go right ahead, because there are consequences to those actions and your nipples are going to get twisted by none other than Jigsaw. And this idea of what goes around comes around in the form of a horror movie looked really fun. So when I watched this, I had high expectations. And holy were they met, because everything from the score to the traps to even the somewhat predictable twist near the end of the film, this movie genuinely had me excited to see what would happen next. Now, in terms of the characters and how they were written, the writers did a good job at making me hate the main doctor slash con artist in this whole K-pop concert, because they gave this goober extremely unredeemable and unsympathetic qualities to her. And in terms of the other puppets who were taking part in the science project, the writing made me like them, especially one of the victims who had to do something really bad to their hand in order to escape one of the traps. And speaking of which, my first impressions of the traps in this movie are, first of all, pretty entertaining and thrill-inducing, but also, I don't know why, but a good chunk of them for me just don't make sense, because for some of the traps, the characters were given a time limit, and I don't know if Jigsaw thinks he's kidnapped Sonic the Groundhog here, but there is no way in any shape or form the characters can complete these traps within 2 to 3 minutes. Like, they have to go through entire Dora the Explorer journeys to do some random stuff like cut open their brain, and if you could finger around your brain and find your cranium, some gold and the cure for cancer, then you could put it on the scale to see if it weighs half a kilo, then you'll be safe and you're good to go. So that's basically my issue with the traps, and I understand that this is a movie, okay? Calm your belly buttons. I know not everything has to be practical or make sense, but at least do a good job at making me believe and take seriously what is going down, because it just convinces me that Jigsaw is trying to kill his players as opposed to teaching them a lesson, because the whole point of these Olympic Games is for these Brussels sprouts to redeem themselves, but if you don't give them that time frame to go nuts to butts and save themselves, then what's the point of the challenge anyways? But moving on from that, in terms of the performances, I thought Tobin Bell, who is an actor I'm hearing for the first time, had a really sharp performance. Like, my man is 81, he was probably 80 when he filmed this, and he is clearly a beast in the sheets, because everything about him was overall fun to watch. And on top of that, he actually makes you feel bad for him, especially considering that he's the Sasquatch committing this mass Mario Party. And I also like the dynamic and relationship Jigsaw had with his partner Amanda Young, who I assume will probably be the next Jigsaw and puppeteer of the franchise in the future, and I think she'll do a fine job because her performance was really good. And the supporting cast did a solid job as well, especially when they were botching themselves and cutting open their arms just to be able to pick out logs inside of them. But overall, this movie was genuinely fun. The traps were super cool despite its stupid time limit. The writing is also pretty good and actually makes you care for the characters, and the acting was on point as well. So yeah, 4 stars.